Yo, what's good peeps? It's time for me to look at my 10 best games of 2016, so make sure you keep it locked.
Number 10.
As a major Pro Evolution fan, I was kind of surprised to myself that I actually included a FIFA title in my top 10 games of 2016, but simply due to the direction they took introducing the journey mode in FIFA 17, had to ensure that this little gem definitely stole a spot in my top 10 games of 2016. In addition to this great mode, I have to applaud the visual aesthetics of the game. The pictures that you play on have even more detail to them, along with a vast number of your favorite players getting closer and closer to the real deal in terms of what they look like. Controls, as per usual, haven't changed too much in terms of how they work, yet they've managed to once again improve that overall accuracy when it comes to the controls. From my personal perspective, overall, I do feel that this is a FIFA game where I've seen quite a few major improvements and new additions to warrant definitely purchasing this game for full price. Who knows what FIFA 18 will bring to the table, but I do feel it'll definitely be hard to top FIFA 17 as it stands.
Number 9.
Yo, Tom Clancy The Division is a title that was pretty well hyped once it was announced at E3, and unfortunately the game was plagued with issues and problems at launch, partly down to the influx of players that the game couldn't quite clearly handle. In less than a month, however, the majority of the biggest problems had been solved, and it gave way to thousands of players to experience the third-person MMO shooter. The Division aimed to demonstrate what it would be like to have a team-based MMO shooter that both the casual and hardcore fans alike could enjoy. The game had you traversing the landscape, coming into contact with both NPCs and players alike, yet whether you decide to side with those players is your own choosing. You could be the world's greatest ally and lead them to a nearby stash to help upgrade their soldiers, or you could shoot them in the back when the time was right and reap the spoils of war, if you call betraying your current ally war anyway. At the time of launch, the Division wasn't in a great spot, but the problems were quickly fixed and it led to one of the best MMO based games to come out in this year in my opinion. Overall, I personally feel that this game did live up to the hype and expectations that I personally placed on the game. I don't really play the game as much nowadays, as I do feel this is definitely a game where you need a team or a regular players to get online with and definitely get the most experience out of the game, but I really can't take away how great and how epic this game was just during the time that I got the opportunity to play it.
Number 8.
For me personally, when you talk about the best games on the Wii U, this game definitely has to come into conversation, and overall I do feel that this is a hot game of 2016. Tokyomurat Session FE has a strange title and plays just a little bit stranger, and yet it definitely is a JRPG that I'd be jealous not to have the chance to play if I was definitely a JRPG fan. When you look at it, it's kind of a strange amalgamation of music rhythm game that's met with Shin Megami Tensei series to make hilarious, satisfying and incredibly enjoying JRPG experience that you can easily spend well over 40 to 50 hours playing and still manage to find plenty of things to do in the game. While the story isn't exactly the greatest addition to the gameplay truly makes this game shine on its own and almost makes me wish I got the chance to see what it would be like on a stronger console. For anyone who is a fan of JRPG games and owns a Wii U, don't be distracted by the crazy name and be sure to instead focus on the fact that it's easily one of the best games released in 2016.
Number 7.
Yo, I know some gamers will definitely go berserk to see this title take a position on my top 10s for 2016, and keeping it real, this game almost ended up on my most disappointed games of 2016 list, and then I almost placed this game on the most underrated games of 2016, but then finally I felt that given how many hours I put into this game and how much of the story really got me hooked from start to finish was the main reason why I had to give this little gem the time of the day and place it on my top 10 for 2016. Keeping it real though, Mafia 3 is by no means without fault. The game is definitely a little bit of a disappointment when you're looking at it from another perspective in certain aspects such as the repetitive missions, and I felt some great intentions were there, but the attention to detail was certainly missing in areas I felt could have enhanced the overall experience. But with that being said, and maybe controversial to some, I do feel that the game outshines the negatives with the great 70s setting and the aesthetics of the bright colours, the quirky cast of characters, and a city that is practically begging to be explored the moment you first load the game up. As I mentioned earlier though, for me quite possibly possibly the strongest element of the entire game is gonna definitely have to be the story. A staple of the franchise by this point, so it's good to know that the developers have had the intention to carry on with that particular trend. Even though it's been quite a wait to see the sequel to the popular Mafia franchise take place, the third installment of the game, to me personally, definitely brought the series back into the precedence, and who knows where they will go with part 4.
Number 6.
Yo, the latest Hitman game was released episodically throughout the year and it was to high critical acclaim. It's a true return to form for the stealth action third-person shooter, because for the action they were quite clearly the exact opposite of stealth were penalized, and took you back to the role of the perfect assassin rather than just some bold dude with a gun who can't seem to die. I feel providing Square Enix can keep both to the stealth motive that we're all looking for, this is going to be the start of the series coming back to its roots and demonstrating to everyone what it'll be like to be in full form. I do feel that this game is pretty underrated title that does deserve more exposure, as it's definitely a solid game of 2016, and especially now that you get the opportunity to obtain all the episodes, I do feel that this is definitely well worth playing if you get the opportunity to.
Number 5.
Yo, while the original Watch Dogs game was the start of a cool new IP, it didn't quite live up to everyone's expectations and was considered a flop by many, but I do feel that the sequel to the title has got almost everything right. From a game that was rocking just a little bit too much brown, all the way to a game that exuberates colour and charm, all with a fresh set of new faces that makes you glad no longer to be stuck with the protagonist from the original Watch Dogs. Everything you can imagine has been improved this time around, making for a much more interesting sense of enjoyment whilst you're in the middle of combat. The only real downside being is definitely the driving mechanics for me personally, but when you can simply hack practically everything in a city, there's only so much you can complain about. All in all, the original Watch Dogs may have been a bit of a dud the first time around, but it's set up for an intriguing new IP and its successor demonstrates Watch Dogs' true potential. So for those who are kind of still on the fence whether they want to buy this game or not, I personally recommend it. I feel that this game is addictive and really fun, and definitely one you'll get into after a couple of hours.
Number 4.
Yo, Blizzard has been teasing their first-person multiplayer shooter for quite some time now and giving players a chance to test it out on occasional betas that came every couple of months or so. But back in May 2016, the game was officially released, and even at the time of writing this particular review, this is definitely one of the most popular FPF games on the market. Unlike many of the other FPF games that came out in recent years, Overwatch breaks the trend and focuses on a team-based objective style of multiplayer where teamwork is and always will be the key factor when you're playing. There's a cast of over 20 different heroes, with new ones being periodically released as time ticks by, yet with every single character they have different roles to play in a team and with their own unique set of abilities and weapons. Thanks to the incredible diversity of the rosters of characters, it means that every hero plays completely different and requires a different set of skill for each player, creating a game that can be played for hours upon ends each and every day, and you'll definitely still be finding ways to improve your type of play. Overall, I will go as far to say that Overwatch is an FPF game that is hard to put down, especially when you consider the amount of replay value the game has with each and every one of its characters. Either way you look at it, it's hard to dispute that this game shouldn't be one of the best games that came out in 2016 and will be a game that people will be playing for many years to come.
Number 3.
Yo, 2016 hasn't exactly been a year of racer, down to the fact that very few games of worth were made to be racers, yet the Forza series has once again done it and produced one of the best racing games not only this year but in recent years as well. Forza Horizon 3 gives you the opportunity to race and drive exactly as you like, with that being as close to the real thing as you like, or even using every single assisting tool the game gives you under the sun to your advantage. On top of this, the driving of one of the near 300 cars that you can use at your disposal is quite satisfying, regardless on whatever car it may be. Just to make things better, all the cars and locations in the game are beautifully detailed, and it makes you want to spend even more time on the game no matter how much progress you've made so far. Overall, for me personally, Forza Horizon 3 is one of those racing games where if you was made to only play one racing game, this is definitely the game that should be in your collection. I know most of the Xbox One owners will definitely be proud that this is an exclusive game, and it's definitely a true testament of what next gen racing should look like. I'm not even the biggest racing game fan out there, but this game literally blew me away in 2016, and that's why this game sits so high up on my list.
Number 2.
Yo, for me personally, Battlefield 1 is definitely one of the best first-person shooters that dropped in 2016, and it's also a first-person shooter game that fans of the shooter have been looking to sink their teeth into for quite some time now. For a fair few years, players have been asking and pleading that a popular first-person shooter franchise go back to the past and give players a chance to live out some of the classic and brutal 20th century warfare, and that's exactly what Battlefield 1 brought to the table. Not only was there a touching story in the form of the campaign that showed evident respect to all those fallen in the First and Second World War, and then proceeded to build upon the already stellar Battlefield multiplayer and brought it to fit the 20th century war aesthetics. All the weapons have been brought to the fitting of the time period, and they just feel as satisfying as you might imagine, as well as the vehicles you could use to your advantage, such as the bulletproof train that is close to indestructible as you would ever get. The story may be short to some degree, but it's still touching and has true respect for the source material and those who were lost in some of the darkest days in world history. Multiplayer is and always will be the main driving force for the Battlefield franchise, and with it taking place in this new time period, it brings the franchise to a whole new height that the FPS genre truly deserves. All in all, I feel if you've never played this game or you're not really into first-person shooters, this may be quite difficult to pick up and play, but I still feel the experience is still well worth it.
Number 1.
Yo, Naughty Dogs as per usual completely hit it out of the park with another smash hit to their repertoire, with this year's title being the fourth and final Uncharted game to wrap up the story and escapades of the lovable rogue and fortune hunter. Uncharted 4 decides to stick to the same formula as the first, second and third games, where platforming and third-person shooter is king. With the multiplayer being an additional extra to the game as usual, the story is where the game truly shines. You'll meet characters old and new and embark on an adventure that will lead to an exciting climax and ending for our friend Nathan Drake. Naughty Dogs have done little to change much to the game due to their mentality of if it isn't broke, then don't fix it. It's a philosophy that is serving them incredibly well in the long run, and I personally agree with that. The only real change to the game is the form of aesthetics that really pushes the PlayStation 4 to what it can do, producing a stunning looking game. From a story and gameplay standpoint, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is one of the best games of 2016 for so many different reasons, and it's easily one of the best reasons to own a PlayStation 4. Overall, on the Uncharted front, I still personally thought that Part 2 was my favorite, and it definitely has a special spot, but for me, Part 4 is such a great testament to such a phenomenal franchise. Anyway, peeps, I know this countdown was extremely long, but I had to reflect on games I thoroughly enjoyed playing in 2016. What was your favorite game of the year, and what games do you think I should have added to my list? Before I close out this video, I want to take the time to thank each and every person who watched my videos throughout 2016, and also as we're approaching 2 years on YouTube, I just wanted to take the time to also thank you for the support, comments, encouragement, and even silent watchers who's definitely helped me keep motivated throughout the past 2 years, as without this it wouldn't be possible. So definitely a massive thank you to each and every one, and until next urban gameplay video, we definitely say peace out, peeps.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more cool urban gameplay videos.